Here's another teacher tip with Mr. Long, and we're looking at exam papers, and we're going to be looking at the memo now. In our previous video, we looked at how we could use tables. I used a couple of tables to create the question structure, and then if you remember correctly, we took all those tables away and we made them invisible so we could get the nice look of our exam paper. So now with the actual memo, here's some tips that I'm going to give you when you use tables creating the memo. So I'm going to insert a table again, and in this time I'm going to actually insert quite a few columns. I need 3 because I'm going to do a calculation for the levels of the questions. I want 1 for the total, 1 for the question number, and 1 for the actual text. So I actually want 6 columns. So there we go, 6 columns. And the first one will be very small because we're just going to say it's whatever the question is. And then the last 4 are going to be quite thin. So we're just going to make those nice and thin like that. So just set up your first row like that. And now we are ready to go. So we're going to say, okay, this is question 1.1. And we are going to, I'm going to populate this with some random answers for this memo. So obviously I've done a very simple little memo here. So obviously yours will be a bit more intricate. So there I've got my question number and I've got my answers over here. And then I'll write down what the total is for each question. And then the subtotal, I just total that up manually for all those particular questions. Okay, so the reason why I've got all these columns, first of all, I'm going to make them look a bit nicer. So I'm going to arrange them with the layout. If you remember correctly, I'll just put them nice and in the middle and centered. The reason is because your school might, or your educational institution might require you to have a list or breakdown of your Barrett's taxonomies. Now, what is Barrett's taxonomies? If you know from your teaching modules, you should know that I searched online for Barrett's taxonomies. There are lots of resources which can tell you the different types of questions that you can ask. There are different levels, like remember and understand. So this image, I've just got to evaluate it a bit bigger there. So you can see like those are like lower level questions, and then there's middle level questions, and then higher order questions. So you have to use your taxonomy. Okay, that's got Bloom's there as well, but you've got to use your Barrett's taxonomy to make sure that you've got a correct percentage of level 1 and 2 questions, level 3 and 4 questions, and level 5 questions. In our schools, we tend to use I think it's a 40-40-20 breakdown. So level 1 and 2 should have about 40%, level 3 and 4 should be about 40%, and then level 5 or those higher order thinking should be about 20%. So everyone's got a chance to be able to get at least to 40. But if you can do a little bit more advanced stuff, you can get up to 80. But if you're really top, you can get that 90% and so on. So that's the idea behind the breakdown. So what I've done with my exam paper is I've got the levels here. So if I had to actually put in a nice little, I'm actually going to put in a row above here. So you can insert a row above. So this is the question. There we go. And so this is going to be my level 1 and 2 level. And that's going to be my level 3 and 4, and that's going to be my level 5. So what you do here is with your levels over here, it's nicely laid out. You can, so this question, this was a level 1 question, so you can put this, there's 1 mark for that. But this was red and green, that's a level 3, so we'll put the 2 in the level 3 and 4 column. This was a level 1, this one was level 5, for example. So you can do that type of structure. You can keep going along. Irony, let's say that was an identification, so that was there. This one was also a 2. This one where they had to give 1 mark is for there and 2 marks for there, and then let's say 2 mark goes there. So let's say that's the breakdown of it. So what you can do is you can at the end put in a formula over here that's going to do all your percentages for you automatically. As long as it's in one big table, it can work. So what I'm going to do is, once I've got my whole memo done, I obviously need to know what the paper's out of. In this case, the paper's out of 120, but I don't have 120 worth of marks here. So we only have 8 plus 6. We've only got 14 marks here. So I'm going to use 14 as the total for the assessment, but you would obviously use 120 or whatever it's out of. So I'll show you how to break it down. We're going to put in a formula here to total up all of these. And there's a little thing I need to still do before I do that, but I'm going to show you why it's not going to work properly. Let's go to formula. So layout, formula. And I'm going to type, I'm not going to sum the left. I'm going to sum the above. Sum the above. So let's have a look at what that looks like. So if I sum the above, do you see it only gives 1 because it only sums up to that number. So you actually, in all your blanks, you actually need to put in noughts. So if I do that and I update this formula here, if I right click on it and go, hey, update it We'll go to the formula again and go, yep, go okay. Do you see now it's more updated? So it's 1 plus 2 plus 1, that's 4. So there we go. So that's the sum of the above. So remember that. So all of these, we actually need to put in our noughts across the board so that it sums everything. So there we go. I actually don't want it to sum that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put that as L5 so that it doesn't sum that 5 as part of the 2 there. So that's a little trick there as well. That it won't sum because it picks up that that's text. So let's have a look. So we want to do that. So I'm going to actually change that formula. I'm going to take that formula, sum of the above, divided by how much is the assessment out of. It's out of 120, but I don't have 120 marks. I've only got 14. So in this case, we're just using 14, but you would have used a 120. And then I'm going to multiply it by 100. And that will give me the percentage of level 1s and 2s for this particular paper. And the format, I'm going to do it as a decimal. So you can see the decimal. I only want it to one decimal place. So 0.0 is a suitable one. So if I do that, you can see there that it means that 28.6% of the paper is level 1 and 2. And we can do the same formula over here. Sum of the above divided by 14 times it by 100. And the format will be 0.0. If I do that, that will sum. There's 50. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, 7. Yeah, 7 out of 14 is 50%. And then we can go equals the same thing. Yeah, don't put equals. Put in the formula. Sum of the above divided by 14 times it by 100. And the format we want it to be 0.0. There we go. So there we go. So you can do that type of structure, and we can do the layout is nice and lined up and all that. But you get the idea. We can make that a bit bigger if we want to fit that all in, but you get the idea. So you can see the breakdown. So we've got 50% of level 3 and 4, only 28 of 1 or 2. So we would have to adjust some of the level 3 questions so that they can fit. About 10% need to come shift into the level 1 and 2 in order to get like a nice 40-40-20 type of split. So you can use that type of formula structure if you want to automatically do your calculations at the end of your exam. So this way, even if you don't do the formulas, even if you do them manually, the idea is that you've got a nice structure where you've got the memo, you've got the total, and then you've got your Barrett's breakdown right over here, so people can see whenever you're doing moderation that you've got a nice even split for your paper. And then last little tip is if you want to indicate like where the mark allocation is, some people put like numbers like this, say this is 1 mark and this is 1 mark. That is one technique. Another one is to use little ticks and crosses. So like I've got a little, if you come here to home and you go to insert, actually not home, insert symbol, I've already got a tick there because I'm a teacher and I use ticks a lot. So let's go to more symbols. If you can't find it, you can go to wingdings. If I go all the way to wingdings, there, wingdings, and I go and I'll scroll up to the top. Let's just scroll through these options. We should see a tick. There's a tick. There it is. That's the tick that I want. So I'm going to insert that tick. So it'll insert it there. You can see it. And if you want to be very fancy, we can actually just go and make that tick a nice little green mark if you want, or a red mark. It's up to you what you want. Let's make it red. And then I'm going to copy it. And then I can go around my paper and just paste in. Control V to paste where the mark allocation is going to be. That's going to be 1. That's going to be 1. That's going to be the speech and the person giving the speech. You can obviously play around with your little ticks and stuff like that and see how you want it to look. So you can do that type of structure as well. So that's my suggestion when doing a memo using tables. Again, if you want to take the tables away, you can. I like that structure over there of that particular. I want to keep that over there, but if you want to get rid of these particular lines, you can just select them and go, hey, I want to get rid of these lines, please. So no borders over there. You can do that and play around with that. If you want, it's up to you. But play around with that. So there you got a nice little structure and some nice tips about doing your Barrett taxonomy so that you can make sure that you've got a fair paper that's got enough questions at all the levels that you want to provide for the students. Links to other videos on exam papers are in the video description, or you can go to our YouTube channel, click on the subscribe button, go to the videos tab, and you can see all the list of options available to you there. And remember, don't do it the long way, do it the Mr. Long way.